is Shawn,
Ted,
and today we're going to talk about
how to play guitar
with a bass player.
Shawn and Ted's musical adventures. Shawn and Ted's musical
This is Shawn,
Ted.
and this is Shawn and Ted's musical adventure.
Number 13.
13, lucky number 13.
Lucky number 13.
So what the hell is that? What holds in there?
Yeah, it doesn't have 6 strings on it.
It's kind of scaring me.
It is.
Like, what a telephone? What is that? Telephone pole wires or
Yeah,
something?
that's
What is
right.
that? Jeez, man.
Yeah, man. This is the bass, and the
Bass.
episode is how to play guitar with the bass player.
With the bass player. Yeah,
And
man.
I'm the bass player in this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
You're a
so
great
we're-
bass player, by the way.
Yeah, it's fun playing. It's fun playing the bass.
So how do we do it? How do we do it?
Well,
What's the-
let's talk about the. So when you're a guitar player, maybe just play like a sort of like a chunky like and G.
Oh, so we Wow, that's cool.
So the bass,
pretty cool. What's going
bass,
on there?
The bass is moving around, right? The bass is making the.
But what are you thinking? What exactly are you playing while I'm playing a G chord?
Well, I guess there's different ways to do it. Like play that again.
Okay.
Play that again. Same thing. You can go 1, 2, 3.
Nice. Oops.
And then you go. Just gonna say.
I have no idea what he's doing right now.
I'm gonna stay in
But anyways,
G,
you got
G,
it.
one
So
chord.
stay in G.
You want
So what notes are you thinking? Like that's the first thing. If I was watching this,
Yeah.
and you're playing, what notes? What are you thinking? You're
Well,
playing the 1, the
well,
5, the 3. What are you doing?
I'm playing. So if it's in G, that's the tonic note
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
G, and then I'm just moving it around. So I can play. Just hanging. I can play the hanging notes.
Yeah. But where are you moving around to?
I'm gonna go when I'm moving around. I'm doing some different bass lines. Like I can go to the octaves.
Oh, there you go. So octave, what that means is the same note, but higher.
Higher,
Exact
exactly.
same note. So you got the low. Bass players do that a lot. This seems to be a common thing.
Yeah, and then you can also do like just the bass line, which is part of the scale.
Yeah. So you're kind of doing right there. You're doing sort of a major thing, right?
Yeah, major, exactly.
Which is what he's doing is he's taking the major scale,
Yeah.
right? The do re mi scale,
That's right, man.
and then you're taking a few key notes from it,
Few key notes.
which are basically kind of the notes I would be playing, but you're moving it around.
Exactly. And I was going to say the other thing for guitar players in some bands, if we do that same line, you play it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're playing like a blues or
Totally, and so we can approach it 2 different ways. So what you're doing, I think, is what you're doing in the beginning was you're kind of playing the same notes. I'm playing all the notes together.
That's right.
You're playing them differently,
Individually,
and
yeah.
but it's the same notes as the chords. So
That's
that's
right.
a really important thing to look at is what is the guitar player playing?
Yeah.
Right. So from a bass
And-
player,
and
point of
if
view. But
you're-
this is about how to play guitar with a bass player.
That's right, but still some important for both guitar players and
To
bass
understand
players
what's going
to
on.
understand where they fit in the band.
For sure.
Because some guys
Yeah.
could be playing that thing, and the bass player could be like Billy Sheehan and be
Yeah.
rocking away or Entwistle,
Yeah.
right? Super busy.
Well, you
So-
bring up a really good point. The point there is you have to understand how each other's plays, right?
Yeah.
And stay out of each other's way.
Yeah.
Like you were bringing up Billy Sheehan. Well, if you go and buy the or download the Eat 'Em and Smile record,
Yeah.
that is a perfect example of pure chaos coming together.
Right?
Right? It's just like notes all over
they're-
the place, but they're so good at staying out of each other's
Yeah.
way. They'll either play together. We're going to cover all this today.
Yeah.
They'll either play together, the same note together,
Yeah.
or one stays out of the way and just plays the chord while the other guy goes nuts,
Yeah.
and then he just plays the root while the other guy goes nuts.
Yeah,
So
just
that's really important.
Finding the space in music, but overall, I think the bass player, the whole idea of the bass player. I mean, we don't have a drummer here with us, but the drums and the bass are the
rhythm section.
the foundation.
Yeah.
they're holding the shit together, so to
Exactly.
speak.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, just keeping on the one chord thing, because that's just easy to show people without having to move it around.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot you can do. So if you're to play like just a strummy sort of country G, maybe maybe I'll clean you up here.
There we
And
go.
then if you go
Woo! Go to the C.
anyways,
So again, you're doing the same thing. I'm playing all the notes at once.
Yeah.
You're taking notes from that chord, that exact chord, and you're playing them at separate times.
but it also because a lot of music has to do with people wanting to dance. That's the two-step feel. I call it. Because I could also go.
Now we're getting rockabilly. Yeehaw!
Right. So there's all these things that the
But you're
bass.
still doing the same thing.
Still-
I think we're talking about two different things here. You're talking about the rhythm, laying down
Yeah.
the rhythm.
Yeah.
I just want to point out to them that what you're doing is you're literally taking. I'm
Yes.
playing a bunch of
Yes.
notes at once,
Yes.
and you're playing those same notes but in different times.
But I'm using
And
the
creating
G,
a
and
feel.
I'm using the G chord with all the different sort of genre inversions.
Yes,
And
yes.
So it's laying feels down. I mean, you could also do the same thing, and I could just play one note the whole
Yeah,
time.
now I do it. Yeah, now where I play separate notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. C. Yeah, right. So
Yeah.
now I took over.
Yeah.
So you started laying down. You're playing less notes, and I'm starting to move around a lot. So no, there's and then there's a fun way, because I know there's a lot of rockers out there.
Yeah.
Is I think a band that I love the way they play guitar and bass. They almost play the same thing all the time, but it's so fun. It's so well done. It's Black Sabbath. It's a great
Oh
example.
yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think this is Zeppelin.
Yeah, that's right. Is that
So Zeppelin does it too. See, we're playing the same thing. So
And then what I did there is I pedaled.
pedal tone.
And you talk about that. So let's
Well, you
talk-
bring up a good one. Pedal toning is really, really cool. Where the bass player pedals,
Yeah.
which means plays the same note over and over again with the drummer, right?
And the guitar
then
player's changing.
I move harmonically around. And what that means is harmonically means like I'm taking a whole bunch of different notes and I'm playing them on top of that root. I'm moving it around, and that gets really interesting.
Van Halen.
Van Halen. Oh.
Let's give a shout out to Eddie.
Shout out to Eddie. We love you, Eddie. We love you.
yeah,
we
this
miss
is-
you.
yes.
We miss you so much. So, so perfect example would be Running with the Devil. So what key are you in
I'm
there?
gonna E.
So he's going to play the same note, and I'm going to play a bunch of stuff over top. Hopefully I get this right. I haven't played it in a while.
That's right.
Right? So what I've done is he's playing like one note literally, and I'm playing two chords there, another chord here, another chord. So I'm moving the chords around. And that's a really great technique. You can write so many songs that way.
right.
You can, there was David Lee Roth used to have a saying, because there was
And I think you're going.
keep it on one note. He'd go
Yeah,
to Michael
I
Anthony.
think you're going major minor because there's like E with or D in
Yeah,
E minor, right?
Well, he's going C major, D major, E major.
Yeah, and then
At least the way we're doing
yeah.
it. He doesn't at a different
Yeah,
key.
yeah.
And then he's kind of sussing it. And then it's all major chords. It's a major chord. Yep. It's all major chords. But anyways, we digress.
Okay, cool. Okay. Well, that's cool.
But yeah, like, Van Halen was more about, because Eddie was such a harmonic player, which means he moved around a lot. David Lee Roth, you could always tell Michael Anthony, just keep it on the root. So that band does a lot of pedaling,
Yeah.
But when I referred to Black Sabbath earlier, they do the opposite. They play the same thing
And I
together.
think I was telling you earlier, we were talking about this. If we take an old Deep Purple song, guitar and bass player playing together.
That's another great example.
So if we go.
Yeah. showing off as a bass player. but yeah, that's another great example. So there's kind of two, especially in rock and roll, there's sort of two approaches, right?
Yeah.
There's the bass player pedaling on the low, and then that gives room for the guitar player to move around, and then there's the playing the same riff together.
And if we take it to sort of like the same thing, you're playing in a three-piece band, and let's say we're doing like a bluesy thing.
Oh yeah, where the bass player takes over where the guitar left off. So I'd be, what key are you in there, D?
Yeah.
So originally I'd be, so start with me
five,
doing that.
So on the 5, if we play like a, you're playing a rhythm with me. Ready? I'm turn around.
And so you basically, what happened there is you took over what I would have been doing in the rhythm.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
A lot of three-piece bands do that. One's just one guitar, one bass.
Yeah.
Which
But
is
that's,
really what
but that's
today's all
another
about.
way for the bass player and the guitar player to play together. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, it is the guitar player playing with the bass player, but the bass player a lot of times has to become a guitar player.
Yeah. Well, the bass player has a role of jumping in between the rhythm section and the lead section, and you're always compensating all over the place while the guitar player is.
And
making
another
noise.
thing too, I mean, crossroads, you know that?
Yeah, I think I do.
1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly. So you're kind of, we're playing the same lick, but you're playing a little add-on.
Yeah, and I move around
moving
and
around,
stuff.
being,
It's more of a groove thing. That kind of thing is more about the groove.
Yeah.
And then I just move around on the top. So,
but that's another way for a guitar player and the bass player, or the guitar player to play with the bass player.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the Clapton or whoever's doing that could have just rhythmically played chunk, 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 and I could be over.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
See, I'm just playing once again, I'm playing the chord. You're playing the notes within the chord.
Yeah.
There you go. So it's really smart. I think, those are sort of two main ways that we just covered. We covered the playing together, playing the same riff together.
I think there's the pedaling.
Pedaling, yeah.
I think there's the playing together, the licks.
Yeah.
And then there's the bass lines that are affecting what
Which is kind of more the sort of country and blues.
And rock and roll and all that kind of stuff, you know?
I think it evolved. I think in the early days, I think what happened was, I know when I went to music school, I sort of learned this stuff. The guitar took a back seat a lot in the beginning, and it was all about the bass and drums. The bass would play all over the place, right?
Well, let's do a bluesy thing. I'll show you an idea of two ways you can play, and we'll use the 5 of the G. So on the D, just play like
what key are you in?
It's going to be G. We're going to be G. And he can just do a bluesy thing. I'll play 2 ways of being a simple.
Play lead or rhythm.
You're going to play lead.
Okay,
You're going to play some lead. So.
Get busy.
So the bass player can play it moving around or really.
Well, one interesting thing we just did there is we paid attention to each other, what was going on.
Yeah.
So when you were a little busier, I kept it simple, and then when you kept it simple, I filled up the tone. So that's a really important thing to do.
Especially in a 3-piece band.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really important to really pay attention to each other.
And that will be another episode of the 3-piece band.
The 3-piece band. How to play with a bass player and a drummer. We do have a drum. We have to squeeze a drum kit. You know what? We need a bigger facility. Let's get a bigger facility. But yeah, I think we covered a lot of how to play bass and guitar.
Well, bass and guitar. Those are essentially, one guy has to be sympathetic to the other. And I think in most cases, if you're playing in a bunch of different ways, I mean, for instance, if I play and you're just jamming, we'll use G again, and you just jam, and I'll show you what you can do as a bass player, controlling the tonics of.
So we're just gonna wing it now.
Yeah,
and we're gonna try to pay attention to each other.
Exactly, which is always the way. So here we go in G. I'll just go.
See, harmony, pedal.
Go down.
There we go.
I'm controlling all the tonics, and he's just soloing over. And,
And in the beginning, he was pedaling.
Yeah.
I was moving around harmonically.
Yes.
And then when you started pedaling, I started soloing, and then so that was a prime example.
So a lot of times when you are the bass player or you're the guitar player, the bass player can move around, and he can be soloing in G modally, and the bass player can move around as long as he knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
You know, like do that again. 1, 2, 3, boom.
See, I'm seeing the same. He's moving. Go ahead, flip.
Now I'll play a little bit of a little lead down.
See, we're paying attention to each other. We're feeding off each other. So, who are your favorite sort of guitar bass player teams?
Well, I think you have to go because we're Canadian. Rush, you know.
Oh,
I think,
yeah. Rush is a prime example of that. For sure.
I think that'd be a big one. I think there's guys like you know Eddie and Alex, or Eddie, or I should have said Michael Anthony.
Michael Anthony.
But you know they're you know, or Wolfgang. We'll give him credit. We'll give him credit too. But any of those guys, I think in the ultimate bass player for me is a guy like McCartney. He just did so much melodic stuff. You know, like
He was really good at playing around the chords,
and playing interesting
bass
bass
be
parts.
jingling on chords, and he'd move around them.
Interesting bass parts too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know,
well, on that note, let's jam out. I think we're
gonna
covered
jam.
that.
Okay, well, let's.
So, but before we go, like, subscribe, share this, put in the comments. You know, as always, we want to hear more of what you guys want us to talk about. And thanks for coming back. We appreciate it.
And I think our next one is going to be getting inside the mind of who do you want to get inside?
I don't know. Who do you want to get inside the mind of?
I was thinking it might be cool to do Richie Blackmore, just because I think just because you're playing the white strap, man.
I love Richie Blackmore.
Yeah.
One of my
Man
favorites.
on the Silver Mountain.
Yngwie Malmsteen's favorite guitar player. A lot of guys' favorite guitar
So
players.
I think we'll do a little thing on Richie Blackmore.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
How to get inside the mind of Richie Blackmore.
In fact, on that case,
dude, that is wicked.
When we end with something in G, and you can.
Yeah, I'll pull out my best Richie Blackmore licks. Here we go.
2, 3.
Thanks for checking in.
Boom.
See you next time.